Here we go, 10:29 on this 15th day of November. Kenneth Conradi is a board member and one of the founders of Alton Youth Symphony Orchestra. Sir, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing very well, thank you.
And you guys have some upcoming concerts, don't you?
Yes, actually, we have our first program of the year on Sunday, November 20th, this coming Sunday at 2 o'clock at Hathaway Hall in Lewis and Clark College.
And I was talking to Alton Symphony Orchestra, the ASO, a couple of weeks ago, and Shane Williams said that is just one of the best venues in the area to play at.
It is a good area, and it exposes the kids to a different type of performance too, whereas very often they performed in their school gym, so
Right.
It's a big deal for them to perform on the big stage at the concert hall at Hathaway.
Absolutely. And you know what? Before we get into any of those details, this is pretty cool. You were one of the founders of the Alton Youth Symphony Orchestra, and I got to ask you right off the bat, was there already a similar organization to the Youth Symphony around town, or was this something you guys took on your own and thought it's time to highlight some young musicians?
Yeah. No, this is something that we took off on our own. Actually, I was director of music at the time, and the other guy that helped me was the Alton High School orchestra director. And at that time, we had 4 junior highs, but there wasn't a strong string program in each of them. But he thought, we were putting our heads together, if we took the top-notch kids from each one of these schools and put them together,
right,
we could have a great organization. So that was the foundation of it.
Wow.
And I got the idea, too. I got a lot of good ideas from Dr. Marvin Rabin, who he did his dissertation on setting up a youth symphony.
Oh, wow.
So he was at the University of Wisconsin at the time, and he sent me his dissertation, so we got a lot of great ideas from that.
Wow. And I said it earlier. Kenneth, I said, for the longest time when I was a kid, I just wanted to be able to play an instrument. It doesn't have to be anything special. When I was a kid, I loved The Godfather, so the viola was like my end goal. I thought, I could do this. And, my parents are so supportive, but my dad's going, you really think you can play the viola, And I couldn't play a soapbox, And so to watch so many young musicians in our community, how cool was it, in your time, being able to kind of experience the youth and their musical, genius that they have and kind of be able to direct it and kind of lead them into more of a prosperous future for their careers?
Well, it was really, for me, it's wonderful to see how students can develop. You take them this raw beginning and then to see them develop into such skilled musicians, it's very fulfilling. I was a music teacher also in the Alton schools. So it's just very fulfilling to see your kids advance, and we can develop a lot of kids that think they can't do anything too.
Right, so, that's what I was going to ask.
There's very few losses out there.
Well, so let's circle back real quick. Let's hit this event, the 20th. What time does it start at Hathaway?
It starts at 2 o'clock at Hathaway, and there's no fee. That we are a community-supported organization, and so we get a lot of support from the community. We have a board of 15 members, and with their input, we're able to do good things.
Exactly.
One thing that we didn't think about when we were starting it back in 1970 was the impact this would have on parochial schools and homeschool children. Really? Now we have some very advanced kids coming to us from homeschool situations, or, of course, it gives the parochial schools a chance for those students that probably don't have major programs at all because it's so expensive. So it's a great venue for them to further develop their skills.
You hit it right on the head, and you're definitely experienced. I could only imagine the unfortunate budgets being kind of taken from music programs around the area and that school, the school districts, and it seems like every school district was kind of fell victim to that at one point in time. So you're right. I mean, this is a great way for every young musician to have that sense of community and involvement at a pretty big scale.
Right. We try to get out into the community. We're not like the marching band that marches out in parade where everyone sees them. We're kind of a hidden venue, But it's been great for these kids that want, especially for parents that want their kids to have a little extra musical experience.
Right. And let me ask you about this. I mean, just to get some background on you, talk to us about how your music career and getting started and then coming to be a teacher at the school district. Were you just, did you study music, or was it something you were just always a part of?
Well, I'm from Oklahoma, which is
Right.
kind of strange that I would be here.
Right.
But I got my main study in my early years was a piano.
Ooh.
And I got my bachelor's degree from Phillips University in Oklahoma. Then I got a fellowship to study music at Carbondale. So that's where I met my wife, and she's also a music teacher too, retired.
Oh, so you had a lot of time to kind of cross promote and cross teach each other, huh?
Yeah, well, I guess you could say that. Yeah.
That's incredible. And, out of all your time with the Youth Symphony, was there any one story that you always kind of will remember till, forever about, somebody that thought, I can't play a single instrument. They came through your doors and you changed them as a person?
Well, the thing that I think back about, I remember that when we first began, we thought, well, let me see. The first year, we'll pay our conductor. At least we've got to do that, raise enough funds. I thought that's going to be, I think it was $500 at the time. I thought, how are we going to do that? Now our budget after 50 years is probably $20,000 or $30,000.
Oh, wow.
So it has grown tremendously,
And do you want to recognize some people that have helped you grow over the years before we circle back to your events?
Well, I tell you what, Leroy Fritz was a director of music before I was, and he gave me a lot of input into it. And also a lady by the name I can't come up with her name right now. We've had so many wonderful board members in those early years that gave us good ideas. And here I was all of 29 doing this, and I was dealing with board members that had much more experience, like 40 and 50, So we got a lot of input from other people that have tried to do fundraisers for the community.
Well, and I could only imagine that because, like you just hit it right on it. I go through that a little bit, or when I had the business and I'm sitting there in, a director's meeting for events, and all these people are just looking at me going, all right, kiddo, get out of the booster seat. It's time for the adults to play. And it gives me, that inspires me, and it should inspire the younger generations, no matter how old you are, just follow your passion and work.
Yeah.
And I want to highlight this too. I'm on your guys' website, and it's really top of the line. I mean, you can find every bit of information about upcoming events, rehearsals even. And how many of those do you do rehearsal-wise before a concert like this?
We rehearse once a week, and usually we start at the beginning of the school year, which is maybe middle of September. Then we give the first performance in November. Mm-hmm. Then we take a break and start again in January.
Gotcha.
And then have a program in May. Then we, of course, at that time we feature a soloist too. So this gives that top-notch musician a chance to be a solo with an orchestra.
Wow.
Which at that age, we're talking about mainly junior high or middle school age.
Right. Exactly. That is incredible. And take us through some of that. So how do you guys, is there a tryout process? Can you take us through that for the symphony?
We do have tryouts, but we try not to be too stringent with those. Sometimes a student can come in with very little experience, but yet we see some raw talent there that we know that we can develop.
And I guess you guys can say, I've seen a thing or two, so you know exactly what you're looking for, huh?
Oh, right. Well, yes. We want to keep a fairly high standard, but at the same time, we don't want to eliminate kids that need that experience too. So it's kind of hard for us sometimes. We want to take them, but let me say, well, you need to come back next year when you have a little bit more experience, and then we'll bring you in.
Right.
But we also have a feeder group, a junior symphony, that feeds into it. Although it's not going right now, but it will start in the spring because a couple of years ago, with the pandemic, very few string students were started.
Right.
So there's a vacant space in there that we're beginning to fulfill starting in January.
And see, that's what I was going to ask you, because COVID affected everybody, and no business or no company was immune.
Right.
How was that kind of bouncing back? It seems like you guys found your feet pretty quick.
Well, we have bounced back, but we're still not up to the strength that we were prior to the pandemic,
right?
Which makes sense too. We just
right.
can't all of a sudden bring everything back.
And just to get some more insight on the symphony, how many components, how many musicians make up the Alton Youth Symphony concert series?
Well, we usually have about 50, although right now it's probably down closer to 30, with the change after the pandemic, but also we have students from Jerseyville, East Alton, Roxana, Florissant, Bunker Hill,
Oh, wow,
So,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so it's the Alton Youth Symphony, but it covers a large area.
I had no idea, and that's what makes this even more special. So whenever we go to the concert on the 20th at 2 p.m., I actually might be swinging by to that one because I love a good classical piece of music. What type of music are we going to be hearing? Is there any set genre or any type of artist?
No, I tell you what, our wonderful director, Abby Kanoki, is very good at programming things. She wants some upbeat things that the modern kids can relate to, but she also brings some classics too.
Right.
And she has a really good repertoire of what she pulls up, Then she also looks at who she has to work with. If she has, for instance, the terrific trumpet section, well then I'm going to probably feature our trumpets a little bit more this year.
Right, absolutely. And that sounds cool. And how many, so does it just depend on the type of music each year, just about the musicians you have for each section, or?
Well, no, it's usually a variety every year. Yeah, it doesn't change that much. Another thing, too, that I want to mention is that we have a chamber group, which is the top maybe 10 or 12 string players that play out in the community to advertise, and like for Kiwanis, or last couple weeks ago they played out at the mall.
Oh, yeah.
Just for exposure. Because we need exposure,
Right.
We don't, as I said, we don't march in a parade, So we have to look at other venues for promoting our program.
Well, if you want to ever send a string player over on this show, I will turn the camera over and the microphone, and I will shut my mouth for about a half hour. I'm telling you what, it is just amazing. And I got to ask you, because I'm not, I'm still getting back into town a little bit from the Missouri side and being all deep dived into their mess,
Right.
and it is a mess. And I was just wondering, do you guys do any symbiotic relationship with just the Alton Symphony? Does that extend out past?
Well, probably not beyond the Alton Symphony, but now we do always have a program called Side by Side.
Gotcha.
Where we pull our top players from the Youth Symphony to sit by the masters in the Alton Symphony, so they see, wow, this is what we can do in the future.
That is cool.
So it's a great relationship there. And Shane Williams is so wonderful to work with.
He is.
He will do anything to promote music,
He's a great guy, too. And I'm telling you what, I cannot wait to come see you guys on. You have got me sold on this. And what's the average age of your one of your players, if you know off the top of your head?
I tell you what, we basically say that when you get to high school level, we're not going to take you anymore. You've got to move on to something else. So it's just that middle age, that where we get them developed so they can go on to further heights.
And you know what? You've had to have quite some success stories coming from your guys' organization. Are there any musicians that you'd like to highlight moving on down?
Oh, gosh, we got so many.
I bet. I could only imagine.
Just the one that I think immediately is Christopher Olfers, who now is a professor of bassoon at a college out on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
That's just. And then another one actually plays in a flutist. I forget her last name is Whaley, but anyway, she plays in a symphony out on the East Coast. So, I mean, there are many of them.
Wow.
I can't.
I can only imagine.
Can't name all of them.
Well, heck, it's almost like you just throw a dart at the wall and see where it lands, because there has to be so many. And once again, guys, on the 20th of November, that's this Sunday at 2 p.m., the first installment of the concerts coming our way from the Alton Youth Symphony Orchestra starts at 2, and it's going to be a great time. And how many you said there's going to be 2 or 3 more concerts after the break?
There's going to be... I'm not certain how many. For sure one, in the spring. And usually we try to do another program where we bring in students from other schools to listen to us. So there's probably going to be 3.
And one last thing, is concessions going to be available? We got a text coming through our text line that asked, is water or snacks going to be available at the venue?
We probably will not provide that. No, that's one thing that we can't do.
Well, and you know what? You won't need it, because I'm telling you, you'll be out of your seat too much clapping for these kids, because it is incredible. And wow, you're getting people talking today. They love the Alton Youth Symphony.
Good.
And wanted to ask you a couple more questions about this, because I just am enamored by this, because like I said, there's so much musical talent here in our area. Right. I think sometimes we take it for granted. Do you care to share with us, do you see almost like, it seems like there's been, I don't know about the younger generations, but for the older, in my kind of age group, the 20 to 30 crowd, it seems like there's like a musical renaissance going around the community right now. Is that how it is at the youth level too?
Well, there is a tremendous interest in music too. Most parents realize, the value of music,
Yes.
And another thing that people don't realize is not just the inherent value of music, but the association that it puts your kids with,
Yes.
because those are kids that are usually motivated and their parents are motivated. Right. So, it just, one good thing rubs off on another one.
Absolutely. And once again, guys, the concert is this Sunday, the 20th. Any final details you'd like to get out there?
No, not really. Just come and enjoy it. There is no fee, There's a contribution if you want to contribute, but there's no fee to get in the door.
And you could see yours truly, because I am going to this. I am excited. 2 p.m. at Hathaway Hall on Sunday. I am ready to go see the Alton Youth Symphony. I hope you guys are too. For more information on the symphony, check them out on their website, altonyouthsymphony.org. That's altonyouthsymphony.org. And Kenneth, I really appreciate your time. Anything else?
Not really. Just come and enjoy it.
Oh, I will. Trust me. And I'm sorry in advance. 10:45. I'm too involved in the conversation. Forgot the time. It's 10:45 on this 15th day of November. Kenneth, thank you for your time. And we'll be back with more of our daily show in downtown Alton right after.